It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Stroud is sacked again. Oh, John, boom.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Defended in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass.
And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole.
Here's the give. Walker!
Kenny Walker. Touchdown. Smarty.
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Answer.
Yes. Caught. Touchdown to Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Good Tuesday morning to you. It is the 10th day of January 2023. We welcome you here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports and Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176 on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros. And, of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN and streaming now on our YouTube page at MichiganSportsNetwork.com. Danny Cahalan is at Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. I'm Anthony Bellino at AAC Bellino. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Happy Tuesday. How are you this morning?
What's up? Sorry, I was just you're going to see a great text from our boy Dan from Decatur. He just you know how Freddie always sends his paragraphs. I was just trying to
Doing a little
decode. I was
work?
decode this. Yes.
Yeah, it's coming
So
in and coming in a wave.
Yeah.
All right. If you stayed up late last night to watch that absolute debacle that was the national championship game, a final score of 65-7.
You didn't have to stay up late though. That's the thing. You could have. I mean, I went to bed at halftime.
Yeah, that would have been the smart move. 65-7. Final possession of the game for TCU, and it is still Max Duggan getting sacked relentlessly by Georgia's defense. I mean, look, I don't know, but holy smokes, it looked like it was one of those games that made you think about how did Georgia get here? How did TCU get here? How did Ohio State lose to Georgia by, with an opportunity to win the game? How did Michigan lose to TCU? How did Michigan beat Ohio State? You start doing that thing, and next thing you know, you're 6 degrees of separation for a championship. I mean, it's simply incredible. And there was a lot of opinions last night about that game and how, Michigan, how did they ever lose to TCU? I really think it's a matchup-based game. I really do. And some days you're going to go out there.
It has to do with just turnovers at the right or the wrong time. You jump a couple routes. You get a couple pick sixes early in the game. You never know what can happen. That didn't happen last night.
Or you just forget to guard the 2 tight ends that are over 6'9". How does Georgia have a tight end that makes their 6'7" tight end look tiny?
They're farming them, just like Purdue.
Like,
They're just
there needs to
farming
be
big guys.
investigation on Georgia's tight ends and Purdue centers. Because they're creating super soldiers.
Yeah, they are, and it's I just you look back at Michigan versus TCU, and oh my goodness, one bad pick six and boom, that's it, right away, and then never being able to rebound, not looking prepared. TCU did not look prepared for that football game last night. So plenty to go here on the national championship being an absolute stinker. John Wagner will join us. We'll talk about that national championship game, Black Monday, where we stand with some of the coaching vacancies that have already opened up, and some have been open. Some were opening yesterday. Some were maybe a little bit more surprising than other. Arizona and what they've decided to do, I think is pretty interesting. So, and the word. If you thought I didn't like the idea of Devontae Adams having a say in who the team should pick for a quarterback, you're really not going to like what I have to say about Kyler Murray having a say in a head coaching selection. Like that's just, I mean, asinine. For a guy that's got a clause in his contract that says he has to put in independent study hours, for a guy that we don't even know if he's fully committed to his job, and you're going to let him have a say, that's... And Cliff Kingsbury, how in the world, like, how did he get that job in the first place? I think is something that is very interesting for everyone to kind of look at, and especially after what he did in college.
I was on my way in this morning listening to one of the overnight national shows.
Which one?
Ben Maller.
Ben Maller, Fox Sports. It's great.
Just the mothership thing is funny to me. I don't know. I like them. And they were just rattling off all the coaching vacancies, and it put a smile on my face. We're not one of them. We feel good about our coach. It's crazy. Panthers, deal with it.
What a time to be alive, right?
Indy, go find your coach.
Might be Jeff Saturday, Jim Irsay really likes him.
Frank Reich is getting a Panthers interview.
But of course, Jim Caldwell getting interviews. It's recycle and retread now. And I hope that they all go with recycled coaches, because everyone's interviewing Aaron Glenn and everyone's interviewing Ben Johnson as well. So that's going to happen. It's unfortunate. Hopefully things work out where those guys will stay.
And Tom Pelissero tweeted out just a few minutes ago that Jim Harbaugh did his phone interview with the Broncos yesterday.
Very good.
So,
do your
even though I think there's only one NFL job that would pry Harbaugh away of this cycle, and that's the Colts.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a little more molding you can do with that. You can choose the quarterback.
So close to home, though. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I think, the only one that Michigan fans should just be watching.
You know what? I think Carolina's kind of an interesting little story there as well. We'll see. We shouldn't have to see, but it'll be, now is the time. I think the number one commodity that's out there is Sean Payton.
Yeah.
I think if I'm looking for a team that's going to be able to compete in today's NFL, it's not going to be Jim Harbaugh's style of offense.
But I believe he is still technically under control by the Saints, because he did have an interview already, and the team had to request the Saints.
Because he was still under contract at the time that he decided to retire.
Like the Pavel Datsyuk thing.
Yeah.
Just trade his contract to them.
The Saints will they'll do the right thing. If he decides, I'd be surprised if the Saints didn't try to bring him back. I mean, a division that is ripe for the taking. Carolina, coaching vacancy, quarterback question. Tampa Bay, coaching question, quarterback question. Right? I mean, you're sitting there. You need to find a quarterback. Atlanta, quarterback question. Like the NFC South would be a pretty nice gig. All right, we're going to step aside when we return. The final score was 65-7. What in the world could we possibly have to say about the national championship game? We'll get into that next year on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
When you're in construction, you know that every minute matters and every dollar counts. You've got materials to purchase, employees to pay, and deadlines to meet. What you don't have is time to worry about your accounting, taxes, or ways to grow your business. That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is construction, our business is helping you run your business better. From tax planning, payroll processing, or R&D credit studies, we're here for you with concrete advice and answers. Let us help you build a solid foundation for your business. Whether you're a subcontractor, developer, architect, or engineer, of all the things you build, make your business the strongest. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you ride along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. Say good morning to you. We welcome you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Of course, encourage you. Join the program at any time. Dan in Decatur sends this in via the text line. Text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000. I'll ask you to opt in. And, just kind of join us and throughout the day and share your thoughts and your feelings on whatever you might see at any time. As long as you text sports radio, Dan will be able to get that, and we'll be able to talk about it. Dan in Decatur says, another Dan. That's the tale of many Dans. Just wish they'd pull off one of those close early games. You could easily argue they could be the third or fourth best team in the NFC right now. They were 5-1 in their division. Think about that. When is the last time they've done that? I'm excited about the Lions, and it finally feels real. Never thought I'd get behind Goff either, but I'm all in. I was nervous early in the Green Bay game. Couldn't throw the ball in the cold, but he figured it out. He made the plays he needed to make, and on the bright side, with the Rams loss, the Lions weren't going to the Super Bowl this year. The Rams loss secures a top 6 pick and has put them in great position for next year, a year they can actually contend. I've been tired of rooting for draft picks for 10 years, prefer wins regardless of the cost, but I can see the bright side of this scenario. Dan Decatur, I'm absolutely with you. I am tired in all sports of rooting for draft picks. There is only one draft pick right now that I am rooting for, and his name is shortened to Wemby, Victor Wembanyama, of an overseas phenom who is 7'4", plays basketball like an alien. He's like Kevin Durant, but taller. That's what he looks like. And if the Pistons were to get him, I don't know. I don't know if we're smart enough to change the entire complexion of our team and what Victor Wembanyama, a.k.a. Wemby, a.k.a. the VW sweepstakes. I don't know if we're smart enough to figure out how to use him properly. But boy, would that be a game changer. I mean, absolute franchise changer. Wemby. This isn't somebody that we're putting all our chips in and thinking that, he could be the future in Cade Cunningham. This guy is really the real deal. This guy's the number 1 pick. Outside of that, I'm not worried if the Lions pick 3rd or if they pick 9th. To me, that doesn't matter whatsoever. There are great players in the NFL draft sprinkled all throughout the first round, and you're going to find guys even into the later rounds. Brad Holmes has built a level of trust, I think, with the fan base based upon what he's been able to do that should make you feel pretty comfortable and pretty confident in his ability to eyeball talent and then what those guys will be able to do once they get here under Dan Campbell. Don't forget in that game against the Packers, we had one that was called back with Jamison Williams catching a pass in which, that is a sign of things that are to come for the Detroit Lions. And, I mean, you're talking about your pick in the draft that, you go up to trade for to get that only plays a handful of games, and in each game he plays, he only plays a handful of snaps. I'm very excited of what this offense could look like next season. So that's for Dan in Decatur. All right, the national championship was an absolute stinker. UGA won its 2nd national title in a row. Only the 4th team to do so since 1990 and the first in the 9-year college football playoff era. Doesn't that seem kind of weird? It beat down TCU, which this hasn't been seen in a college football title game in any format in 152 years of college football. You could go back to some of the biggest blowouts in title game history. The 1971 Orange Bowl had Nebraska beating Alabama
history.
38-6. Pardon me?
It's also the biggest win in bowl history.
Biggest win in bowl history. 72 Rose Bowl had USC thumping Ohio State 42-17. Oklahoma in 1985 won 25-10 over Penn State. Nebraska in 1995 won 62-24 over Florida. USC 55-19 winners over Oklahoma. Florida in 06 41-14 over Ohio State. Like, there have been some lopsided games. Alabama over Notre Dame, 42-14 in the 2013 BCS championship game. My goodness, a 65-7, an epic beatdown, demoralizing for the Horned Frogs, who I don't know if you follow along with social media or not.
Is it? But come on now, what is it? You got there.
Yes.
Was it was it demoralizing for Michigan when they got stomped in the semis last year?
Yes. Were you around Michigan fans?
Yeah, that was a demoralizing. That was a you thought you were good, but you're not even close.
When MSU lost 38-0 to Alabama in the playoff. Yes, because
I was at Old Shillelagh. That was a good night.
Yeah, Mr. I don't care. I kind of root for a team. I picked one.
No,
during
the
pandemic.
I'm just saying, I just don't see how you can say, like, your TCU, your first-year head coach took you to the national championship. I don't care how bad you lose. You're in the national championship.
Yeah, you're not going to think about that way for 2 months, though.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a cooling off period right now, because that was such. If it would have been 35-7 or something, okay, but I mean, the score of this football game was demoralizing. Like,
this is the score Ryan Day keeps thinking of and will never achieve versus Michigan.
I don't know, like a matchup game, man. Ohio State in attitude and how you came in. Was TCU just happy to be there? Were they on the Danny Cahalan? Hey, at least we made it there in Georgia. I thought that when Holly Rowe would ask,
hey,
Kirby
that's
Smart,
what everybody's saying about Michigan the last 2 years, is that once they get there, they're on the gravy train. So
year one, yes. Year two, completely overlooked the opponent. Completely overlooked TCU. Like, at what point did you realize that they were there to play? I thought TCU, I mean, I don't know. They just looked happy to be there to me. I mean, Kirby Smart, Holly Rowe asked him, like, what was, what's your message, your defense? They come out here, you deferred the kick. You're coming out there in defense first. And he looked at her and looked at the camera, and he was like, aggression. I was like, this game is over. This is over. I thought TCU had a chance. That's all I needed to hear from Kirby Smart. This is going to be a blowout of epic proportions. Why would I ever think that TCU had a chance to even cover a spread? It's how you play on that particular day. That's the craziest part about the game of football. In a one-game eliminator, anything can happen. TCU played about as bad as it could play. Georgia played Georgia football. And I think that if you're Michigan watching that game, dear God, what in the world happened there? That's all I could think about. And if you're Ohio State fans, you're like, dude, we were one kick away from winning a national championship. And I just think that Ohio State came in, they really did come in with that underdog mentality. They came in really ready to play. And they gave Georgia a really good shot. And the Horned Frogs, they walked out there and got just absolutely demolished.
The funny thing is, though, every college football playoff, there's always one awful game, except it's always a semifinal game.
Yeah, there's always that Clemson 34-0 victory over Ohio State. There's always one of those stinkers in
right.
there.
And this year was the first year where we had two great semifinal games. And so we're like, all right, that means the national championship's going to be good.
Definitely not. Definitely not. You know, Brock Bowers said after the game, he's the All-American who, brought in 7 catches for 152 and a score. One of the sophomores on the team said, but we have to go back to work as soon as we get home. There's always work to be done. It's pretty interesting. Like, this is how
Not
how
after
you
this
build.
one.
Yeah, I don't know what other good for you for finding some things to talk about, to motivate yourself to get back to work. But, maybe you take a week off before you start your, or maybe it's a couple weeks before you start your winter conditioning program. You let the kids go home if there's any break even left. Or if they're already back in class, which most places are. If you're back in school, then they go right back into school, right back into the grind, and get ready for a spring break. Maybe they can have a chance to go home and see their families at that point. But I'm sure most will choose to go to Cabo and party. So we'll step aside. We'll come back with X's and Bros. Don't go anywhere. Black Monday, where we stand with the NFL coaching carousel and the vacancies that are upon us. We'll get you up to speed on those next here on the Michigan Sports Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Imagine this: winning big at Soaring Eagle and finding Piggy Riches for up to $10,000. Every Friday in January, one lucky winner every hour from 7 to 11 p.m. will break the Piggy and reveal their prize, from $500 premium play all the way up to $10,000 in cash. Don't miss Piggy Riches, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer guest line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
I'm sick and tired of no respect for the team they played.
Yeah.
Like, to me, this team won. They were 8-2 their last 10 games.
Correct.
Detroit.
Yep.
And so, to me, forget about Aaron Rodgers. You never gave him any respect, Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
You never gave this team any respect after they beat you, being 1-6. It started this climb.
It's true.
And you know what? You're still not giving them respect. So, to me, forget it. I don't want to show this man the respect until he shows that Lion team respect.
Rex on ESPN's Get Up, getting a little feisty, defending our Detroit Lions. Yeah, just look, man. There's no doubt that Aaron Rodgers is one of the more talented quarterbacks that has played in the NFL. There's also no doubt that he has had some major shortcomings in the playoffs. One championship with multiple number one seeds, I just think is complete. I think that's unacceptable. With multiple home games in Lambeau to lose, I don't think that's acceptable. And then, to look at the last consecutive playoff losses and then this loss here to Detroit, the other two is a 1 seed, and a de facto playoff game, a game to get into the playoffs, and you lost to the Detroit Lions. And you refuse to respect the Detroit Lions for God knows what reason, because your arrogance. Maybe it's because you showed up to training camp looking like Nicolas Cage out of Con Air. Maybe that's what it is. But a pretty easily disliked character outside of Green Bay. I always tried to be, somewhat. I wouldn't put him on LeBron James's level of annoyance, but he's getting there, and I defended him as he was spotted at a basketball game with a new girlfriend, and everybody was all up in arms with the fact that he's dating someone. Like, why wouldn't you wait till after the season? Oh, stop. I defend. If you listen to the show, I defend.
Well, we're getting some characters because Aaron Rodgers is up there, and now a new candidate, Carlos Correa.
What's Mr. Correa up to?
He's talking to the Twins now. He was on the Giants for a week, then the Mets for the last 3. Now he's going to the Twins again.
Yeah, and as much as he could be a recycled back. What is up with his physical? What does he have?
His left knee looks pretty bad. I was watching a Twitter video 2 weeks ago, and a lot of it has to do with the way he throws the ball across the diamond, just way off center, where it's putting too much pressure on his knees, where his knees are going inwards, so it's causing a lot of stress on those. And so if you're signing him to a 10-year deal and you're pointing out knee issues because of the way he plays the field, that's going to be a holdup.
Well, good. I don't want any more 10-year deals anyways. And as for Carlos Correa, I don't know. Is he really the villain that Aaron Rodgers has become in the NFL? Does baseball have that guy?
Yes, Carlos Correa is one of the villains. Because of after how smug he was after the cheating scandal, after how arrogant he was, baseball fans view him as a villain.
Fair enough. So we have Rodgers, LeBron, Correa, and in hockey, there's a whole bunch of you could probably just go through the Boston Bruins lineup if you wanted to. Tom Wilson and Washington, there's been plenty of villains in hockey, but that's more or less based on how they play the game, not necessarily in how they talk about it. And I think that's what makes Aaron Rodgers, really interesting, in the fact that every time there's a pass that isn't completed, there's this look of disgust on his face, like somebody else had to make a play. I don't know. Very irritating to watch. And for Packers fans, I feel for Packers fans because we've been going through it now for the last couple of years at the University of Michigan. It's the same exact thing. Are you going to commit to this team or are you not? Plain and simple. You can literally end all the speculation and never have to deal with another question about it the rest of your life. You can end that speculation this very moment, right now. All you have to do is either commit to the team or walk. That's it. No, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, hokey pokey here. That's it. What are you going to do? Sign long term, be the guy, or not? And for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, I don't know. I think it would be a lot worse if it was I'm not necessarily worried about Jim Harbaugh, even if he goes. If he goes so long, it was a good era, a couple college football playoff berths over the Ohio State hump, a couple of Big Ten championships. I'm happy with the way that things turned out. If he wants to go back to the NFL, that's fine. We've done just about all we can do here at this stage. So go ahead, go right ahead. But if you're the quarterback of an NFL team and you've signed some pretty big money deals, like a miniature level of commitment shouldn't be that much to ask. And this is why, fans get angry, right? And fans are invested in their team. I know that a lot of times what I mean by what I say when, we talk to, specific people that maybe report or cover a team and how they're around it, they have a different feel for what's actually happening versus somebody sitting on the couch. I know that bothers a lot of people when I say that, but that's perfectly fine for you to be a fan on the couch. There's nothing wrong with that. You still deserve, you're investing your time and your money into whatever franchise, whatever program, you deserve a winner. Especially if a team's been, suffering in futility for years. You deserve a winner. Lions fans deserve a winner. If you've been riding along this long on this journey, what you saw Sunday night should be that little, kick in the pants right there to get you up out of your seat and say, you know what? No, this feels real this time. It does. It feels real. And I know that I took some ridicule for defending Dan Campbell, and they call me a company man, they call me the mascot, and they call me this, they call me that. I had a good feeling. I was wrong on Matt Patricia. I really was. I thought that team meeting was going to boost the morale and turn everything around for that team. It never happened. It never happened. We saw a defense that continued to be the slowest defense the NFL has ever seen, an offense that was terrible, a quarterback that wanted out. Just blow it all up and get it over with. Right? That's totally fine. Dan Campbell feels a lot different than Matt Patricia does. Matt Patricia was a blind faith that maybe they could turn this thing into what the Patriots had. We're learning even more about Matt Patricia as he was the play caller and under Bill Belichick under intense scrutiny for those decisions being made. The fact that he just handed that job over to Matty P, and that offense stinks. We could have told you that. We saw it from here. Aaron Rodgers, I'm happy for Rex Ryan. I'm glad that Rex Ryan is standing up for the Lions, although I don't think that they necessarily need media personnel to stand up for them. I mean, 8-2 in their last 10, they stand on their own. I don't think if you're a team in the NFC playoff picture, if you had to face the Lions this week, that'd be real high on your priority list. I think you might want to go a different direction. Speaking of going different directions, we have a lot of coaching changes right now in the NFL. I was reading an article from the USA Today where they were trying to rank the coaching vacancies 1 through 5 as of right now. We might see more jobs become available, but ranked number 5, which I think was pretty interesting, is the Houston Texans with Davis Mills as quarterback. The Deshaun Watson saga is over. I don't know what you do. You gotta move on from Davis Mills. You have to. You have Laramie Tunsil. You have Nico Collins. You have Brandon Cooks. Dameon Pierce probably could have led all rookies in rushing yards, but he missed 4 games. He just finished 939 yards rushing. John Mechie's recovering from leukemia, and that was one of your draft picks. So you have just shy of $50 million in cap space, which is up in the upper echelon of NFL teams. You've got some good things going on here.
The number 2 pick.
And the number 2 pick.
So with you can have that quarterback in mind.
Yeah, and that quarterback could be there. It could be Ohio State. It could be Alabama, depending on which direction you want to go. Do you want to go Stroud? Do you want to go Bryce
whatever
Young?
Chicago does at number 1. If they trade out to someone that really wants one of those 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, or maybe Chicago goes, tries to rebuild Monsters of the Midway. I don't know. I really don't know. Chicago's got so many holes right now. So you sit there and you hang out as Houston. And I don't think that there was I read somewhere that, Houston winning the final game of the season was a big FU to Lovie Smith, a big FU to the organization. I don't really think that that's the case. You're playing with a group of professionals that everybody's out there playing for their job every single Sunday. So you're never going to get pro athletes to tank purposefully. You might be able to, have a guy with an injury that you can bench for a season and just say, "Oh, take this one off. Let's ease our way back into it and see where we go from there." You might be able to manipulate your roster from that perspective, but not in the NFL. There's too much at stake for all 53 guys that you're never going to be able to do that. They have the Indianapolis Colts job ranked at number 4. Indy could have a 6 different starting quarterback in 6 seasons. You have an owner in Jim Irsay that's a little bit of a wild card there. You do, however, have all pros at guard and Quentin Nelson, running back Jonathan Taylor, defensive lineman DeForest Buckner, Shaq Leonard, the linebacker, Kenny Moore and Stephon Gilmore, cornerbacks. Like, you've got some talent there. You don't have a quarterback. You do have roughly $17 million in offseason cap space. Indy might be a somewhat decent job. They're going to select 4th overall in the upcoming draft, so you're going to have an opportunity. Maybe you will take a quarterback if you are Indianapolis. Then you have the Denver Broncos, which, to be honest with you, I don't know if I put the Denver Broncos up here at number 3 or not. I get that you have Russell Wilson, who played, pretty bad football. I also, look, folks, there was an extra game played this year. I don't know if everybody's aware of that, but every time, like when we see different franchise records, like there's an extra game in the regular season. So I'm happy for Geno Smith. Like, he set the franchise mark for passing yards in a season more than Russell Wilson. Also had an extra game to do so. So just try not to forget that, because it's the same thing with Jamal Williams and Barry Sanders. Like, more touchdowns in a single season than Barry ever had, which is awesome. Also had more games to do so. I don't think Wilson will be as bad. I think that when you had some of his teammates coming out to discuss, exactly what was going on, the fact that all that outside noise is just noise, he's been a good teammate. I think that was really important, because I think a lot of us had questions to see what was going on there, and how did Seattle make the right move, and how did they make the right call there, right? And you have Wilson, who had 16 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions. Like, he didn't look great. He's 34 years old. Denver gave up a whole hell of a lot to get him. Like, but you do have, Patrick Surtain II, Jerry Jeudy, right? You've got a couple of nice pieces. Salary cap wise, you got less than $15 million to play with in the offseason, depending on what you do as far as restructuring deals or dropping some specific players. And the Wilson deal, you had no first or second last year. You have no first or second this year. So that's I don't know. It's a bunch of issues. You play in the AFC West. Yeah, that has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid with the Kansas City Chiefs. The LA Chargers are right there with Justin Herbert. They're a pretty inconsistent organization. 2 weeks they look great. For a month they'll look terrible. But the Chargers are still there, and we're waiting to figure out what happens with the Las Vegas Raiders, right? And what will the Raiders look like moving forward now without Derek Carr? They list the Carolina Panthers at number 2 now that you have Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker on expiring contracts. Matt Corral misses rookie season with the Liz Frank injury, so they do have him. They do have some talent when you look at like DJ Moore, J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, guys like that. Salary cap, null and void until they make some moves. They have about $1 million available right now in cap space. Not really sure. After you trade away All-Pro Christian McCaffrey to San Francisco, you get a nice package which includes second, third, and fourth rounders in this year's draft. You're going to have, you choose 9th and 40th overall. You're going to have a really, really good draft, without question. I don't know. They had a pretty good year this year. Do you stick with your current, interim head coach and, get Wilkes the job and allow him to kind of build on what he has? Or do you, try to start from scratch and, whole new system, new coach, and, really try to build from the ground up? And then you have the Arizona Cardinals, which, don't forget, folks, Kyler Murray tore his knee. Now, Cliff Kingsbury was let go, although it does sound like that was a mutual parting of ways, and their GM is going to take a break for health reasons. So now they're without a quarterback and a GM. Their quarterback, head coach, and GM. Franchise quarterback has an ACL. You're going to lose J.J. Watt. I don't know if it's just going to be a purge of the veterans here. You were what you thought so very close until you lost to the Lions in the year of 2021, and then that really derailed the entire program for the Arizona Cardinals. Like last year, you look back at it and how good they were and how well they were playing, and Kyler Murray kind of setting the world on fire. Signs a big deal, has the clause, lost that game. A lot of questions surrounding him and his preparation. Cliff Kingsbury never won anything in college, got a head coaching job. And here you go, a team that's 4-13, got to be picking early in most rounds. You have about $30 million from a free agency standpoint, which you should be able to lure free agents to Arizona. You absolutely should. Like if you're a free agent, you want to go play in Arizona, yes, please and thank you. Yeah, I'll drive down the road to the facility and watch the Super Bowl. Oh, and take in the Waste Management this year. Double whammy there. They have Arizona as the number one job right now is from a head coaching position. Weather-wise, absolutely. Arizona is something unlike any other place. So sure, in that regard. Quarterback question. I don't know about the overall depth of that roster. Do you agree with this list from USA Today? Arizona 1, Carolina 2, Denver 3, followed up by your 4 spot, Indy, and your number 5, which bottom of the barrel. And I feel bad for, number 5, which is the Houston Texans. I think Houston probably could be better. Than expected.
I think Indy's probably better than expected. I don't know why you would put Arizona at the top. They're losing. I mean, you just have a lot of speculation with their quarterback. They're losing a Hall of Fame defensive lineman. I don't know. Indy is their defense has shown that they could be a top 5 defense in the past couple of years. They just can't do anything on the offensive side.
Yeah, Shaq Leonard's the real deal. They get a quarterback, and they get a franchise quarterback in there, they could be in good shape, but they got to get a coach too. I don't know if Jeff Saturday's that guy. I know that he's a likable character, but I don't know if after what happened this season, you can go back to him for another year. Hey, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code HUGE right now. Place a $5 pregame money line wager on any NBA team to win. Get $150 in free bets when they do. That's promo code HUGE only at DraftKings. Now, if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117. 21 plus, Michigan only. Eligibility and deposit restrictions to apply. Bonus issued is free bets, eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/basketball terms. Hour 2 is next. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Hey, Michigan, let's go big. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking real big-time winning on the hottest slots and table games on one incredible app, Eagle Casino and Sports.
Sign up now and get up to $1,500. That's right. We'll match your first 2 deposits for up to $1,500, plus 100 free spins.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for all the Mr. Car Wash locations. I think there's close to 30 across the huge radio network. For the one close to you, go to MrCarWash.com, and there you can join their Unlimited Wash Club. Now, this is a quick and convenient way to keep your car shining all the time. It's everything you love about getting your car washed in a simple, easy-to-use, affordable plan. As an Unlimited Wash Club member, you will enjoy all the benefits of washing as often as you like, no long-term contract, convenient monthly billing, and now you can be rest assured with a contactless visit. So go to MrCarWash.com right now, sign up for their Unlimited Wash Club Pass, and that means you can get your car washed at any Mr. Car Wash location across the huge radio network or anywhere in America. And for the location close to you across the huge radio network, you can also log on to MrCarWash.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTap at FreddyThePizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email FreddyThePizzaman@gmail.com.
Good morning, everyone.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Vietnam.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here. Hour number 2 of X's and Bros, coming at you live all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. Text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XP Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN and now streaming to YouTube. Just search the Michigan Sports Network. You can find us on the old YouTube if you would like to as well. And of course, we're always in your pocket on the iHeartRadio app. MichiganSportsNetwork.com is the website. XPMornings@gmail.com is our fan feedback email inbox. And you can find us all individually on Twitter. Danny Cahalan is a Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Dan in Decatur sent us a pretty lengthy text message and feeling pretty good about the Detroit Lions. And I would, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody who's been a longtime fan that doesn't feel the shift. Right? I haven't talked to that person that said, "Oh, well, we've been there before." Like that just doesn't seem to be playing a role. And you know me, I hate that same old Lions thing. I just think that's like the lowest of low-hanging fruit. And I love it, man. I hope that this is sustainable because it's one thing to get to this point where we're all excited. Right? That was the next step. They won 3 games last year. You start to make that next step towards the reality, which is, being legitimately good in the NFL, which is hard to do. You get to that point this season. Now the question is, can you sustain it? 9-8 when you were expected to not win, the over-under was set at 5.5 games. You win 9. You're 8-2 in your last 10. Now you got to survive the changes of the offseason and try to come back and not have a letdown. Because I think that would be, I'm not fearful of it, but I think that would be borderline devastating. Come out and have a 4-13 season next year would be enough to send most Lions fans back into the abyss. So I hope that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, I have the faith that they do know how to sustain this. I have the faith that they will know how to sustain this because we've seen them have the opportunity to draft and what they've been able to do with that. Also, I asked this to the guys in the break. I know it's a celebration. I'm not trying to be the fun police. Please don't, get it twisted. I was one of those people that the moment I could, I was going to spark one up as a young person. But why on earth, Georgia looked so copycat last night with every one of their players having a cigar. Like they had some 150-pound wide receiver look like a fan, like a child with a cigar in his mouth. Like I just, I don't come up with something new. Come up with something original. This all happened because of Joe Burrow and LSU. I don't remember ever seeing cigars in the college locker room until Joe Burrow did it. Now everybody wants to be Joey B. I just, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think that, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. I just think it looks corny. Is that okay to say?
Very much so. I saw the picture this morning because I didn't stay up till the end of that game.
You should have. You should have stayed up just to watch the last two possessions from TCU and how Georgia just absolutely ransacked their offensive line.
I saw that for the first 3 quarters.
It's always worse, though, when you know they have to pass, which I get, yes, after the first possession, you're like, oh, boy, they're in trouble. But, yeah, when they're down and you got guys running deep down the field at wide receiver and you got all the time in the world to rush the passer, what a terrible, terrible recipe that is.
Yeah. But as for the cigar thing, I felt the same thing when I saw the picture. It's like, all right, we got it. And it's like, Stenson Bennett, you're a 25-year-old trying to look cool around college kids. I get it. You're trying to be Van Wilder out there.
What a reference. Van Wilder.
Let's move on.
Oh, my God. I forgot that movie even existed.
Isn't that about Bert Kreischer, right? I believe
Yes.
he has said that that's actually based on him.
It is. The Rolling Stone article that inspired it was about Bert, the stand-up comedian.
Incredible. Van Wilder. What a great era of film. Anyways, if I'm Stetson Bennett in Georgia, like, can we skip the cigars and go with like the wood tip wine black and milds? Can we do that instead?
It's like, just save it for the locker room. I don't even see you getting the trophy of the cigar hanging out of your mouth. And this is old man yelling at clouds.
You know what, though? I felt the same way, and I didn't feel real old manish about it because, like I said, the first minute I did. But, like,
I had one on New Year's.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. It's like it was one of those things, like, what's something that is...
it's not the issue of smoking the cigar, like, oh, it's bad for your health. It's just like, we've seen it done before.
Yeah, but you
Move
also
on.
have to think, you're right, but it also is, I mean, not in the state of Michigan. It's 21 to smoke tobacco now, but most places it's 18. A lot of these kids aren't 21. It's not like you can hand them a bottle of champagne.
Do you have to celebrate with...
How about some Welch's sparkling grape juice?
How about just dump the Gatorade jug on the coach and then run to the podium and do your little snow angels and the confetti and do all that and then keep it moving. Like, I don't expect them to have champagne or a 30 rack of Busch Light in the locker room.
And you're in L.A. Can you even smoke in L.A.?
Yeah, right? I mean, they smoked indoors. Is that going to be a fine
Is
there?
that considered tailgating, what they just did, which was prohibited at the stadium?
All the pageantry of college football, and they picked I believe it was Ben Axelrod who had said they picked the most sterile of environments for college football.
Like, they should pick a random college campus, how the Super Bowl picks a random NFL team to host the Super Bowl every year. College football playoffs should be like, you know what? We're doing it at LSU this year. You know what? The championship game is at USF. We're going to South Florida.
That'd be kind of fun.
We're going to Coastal Carolina. You're playing on the teal turf for your championship.
It'd be better than playing in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome every single season, right? Like, at least it was in SoFi this year. But yeah, I don't know.
How about it being the gloomiest day in the last 20 years in L.A.?
Yeah, I think
they were like, they show the outside shot, gloomy and rainy outside, beautiful inside. It's like, is this the worst day in L.A. like the last 15 years?
It's the smog, man. I think that the official weather was 60 and overcast is what the official weather report was at kickoff. And I think I saw that via like college football's Reddit page. So that's the whole game last night just lacked everything. Everything. I thought that the beginning, they were like, oh, we've got, Oscar award-winning composer John Williams. And I'm like, oh, I know John Williams. He did all the music for Star Wars. Like John Williams, Hans Zimmer. Like, there are some composers that are out there that have created music for films that have just been absolute. Maybe Zimmer did the music for Tenet. Not 100% for certain. But there's certain, like, okay.
Hans Zimmer? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Did Hans?
He
did
Batman. Oh my gosh, the Leo movie with the top.
Inception.
Yeah.
He did Dunkirk.
Yep.
Which was a phenomenal film. I think he did Tenet. But whoever, there's certain times where the score, the music that is picked for the film it's got to work, right? And there are some people have paired that to a point where original music for the film, it's absolutely perfect. Inception would have been one of those. Star Wars would have been one of those. Sicario would have been one of those. Tenet, like, There's specific films. Like, oh, John Williams. It was like kind of a cool intro, kind of. And then everything was cool until he kicked it off. And then the whole thing was an absolute bust. Like, we waited all year for that championship game, and boy, was that an absolute disaster if you were TCU. All right, we're going to step aside. We'll come back to a little Lions trivia. Plus, why would you complain over pulling NFL talent from the field last night? I did not get that whatsoever. We'll talk about it next year. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
We played for the thrill, that rush you feel with the game on the line. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver. Now, with Eagle Casino and Sports, the new sportsbook app from Soaring Eagle, anywhere I'm at, I'm still in the game.
Sign up now and get up to $1,000. That's right, up to $1,000 for a risk-free bet on your next favorite underdog, parlay, or prop.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
From planting a simple seed to managing a global food supply, growing, processing, and distributing food is the backbone of America. You deal with food safety and labor issues, cost control, and not to mention Mother Nature. But do you have time to explore research development and biotechnical tax credits? Properly administer payroll for temporary employees. Ensure that you're operating at your most profitable? That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is America's food supply, our business is helping you run your business better. We'll assist with tax credits, assess your processes and controls, and so much more. And while we may not be able to help you plant your crops, we can help you realize a rich financial harvest. From the family farm to worldwide distribution of all the things you grow, grow your business better. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
You're listening to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Can't call in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000 or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now back to Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, and Anthony Bellino.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you riding along with us. It is hour 2. It is segment 2, which means it's time for... Because the Lions were on such a heater to close the 2020... Do we call it the 2022? We call it the 2022 season, right? I know it bleeds into the new year. But I don't like the whole...
Yeah, because, well...
22, 23... I hate... I just... Ugh.
Yeah, like in the Dan Campbell video that the Lions released, they say the 2022 Detroit Lions.
Yeah, a bulk of the season took place in 2022. The playoffs take place in 2023, plus an extra game. But anyways, because, we're on the verge of the playoffs, I figured why not a little title question here. On December 27th of 1953, the Lions defended their 1952 league championship title by beating which team 17-16 in the NFL championship game at Br0's Stadium?
The Browns.
Oh, my God. Bing bong. He's done it. He has done it. Ladies and gentlemen, you ever see that video of the guys playing darts? And,
I mean, that just happened, the perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, there was one circling the web about a year and a half ago, and the guy just hitting nonstop triple 20s. And he's like, 972.
Oh, you got to watch. There was a competing near perfect games last week. It was
it's not the same video.
It was like 9 darts against 10 darts or something like that.
Wow.
Absolutely electric. Darts needs to become a bigger sport here in America.
Really? I mean, I know how to play cricket. Really hard to do math. Like the guy who's announcing, I don't think gets enough credit. 1, for vision. 2, for quick math. I mean, this guy, triple 20 comes up and you're counting backwards from whatever number. And this dude is doing incredible amounts of real time addition and subtraction.
But I imagine though, if you play darts enough, you kind of like that math.
Yeah, it's
is
like
just,
bowling.
That math is just sitting there like already. Like you already know what 501 minus 120. All right. Minus 180. Minus another 180. All right. You need like double 19s, double 12, and a 777 or something.
It's like for in golf terms, as Dan once pointed out, you don't actually need to write down your score. Real golfers don't need to actually write down their score because they'll always know based upon what the par is where they're at on the course. You'll know if you're 1 over, even, 4 over, 5 over. Like you should always know what your score is. Like I have a lot of patience because, playing with my best friend's younger brother, who is also my barber, who's basically my de facto younger brother. I love that kid, right? He's a wonderful young man. I mean, hell, I married him and his wife, for God's sakes. Like, we're family at this point. I will be patient with him, and I will show him patience that I will not show other people. And it took a while for you. You always need to know what shot you're on. Like, after we get done putting, we shouldn't have to go back and count, 1, 2, 3. No, you should know what this putt is for. Let's get to GB Ritz, who's on the Meyer Super Center guest line. We haven't heard from GB in weeks. GB, what's going on?
Hey. Well, I don't know. I think I called you after the New Year, but I'll wish you a Happy New Year again anyway. I thought I did. So
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Well, you mentioned golf. I mean, it's freezing outside. I haven't even thought about golf in the last couple weeks. Although I have been going to the indoor dome on and off since Christmas.
Wait a minute. So you haven't been thinking about golf, but you've been going to hit balls in an indoor dome?
Yeah, but not on a course. It's not the same thing. You're playing on Masters Tour, for God's. You're hitting off a mat. It's not the same thing. The ball at best is going 100 yards, no matter what club you use. So,
no doubt about that. Hit the ceiling with a lob wedge. GB, I want to tell you that yesterday I took some time last night before the national championship game, and I was doing some reading online via the Titleist website because I wanted to clean my bag. That's the point. That is to the point that I've gotten to where I have just developed this yearning to play the game that I decided that I was going to get my bag finally out of my trunk, put my clubs inside, and I was like, you know what? I need to clean my actual bag, and so that's what I did.
Well, is that like the commercial where the guy's wiping down his garbage cans and the old timers there? You're growing into your adult. That's your parents. That the commercial I'm talking about.
Yes, I know. Like, yeah, how not to, they get in the elevator. The one where they get in the elevator and the guy faces everybody in the elevator. It's great. Those are great commercials.
I know they're funny. Well, the purpose of my call is I'm hoping that Dan Campbell can take a drive by and stop into Little Caesars and drop in the Red Wings dressing room and give them an inspirational pep talk of some kind, motivational speech, so that they can stop losing in droves, in bunches, because I never saw this coming from this club. I mean, granted, not a playoff team per se, but I thought they'd hover around that mark. But by God, they're falling into that same abyss after the first of after December kind of thing, mid-December. They're just kind of teetering, and now they're not scoring goals, and Husso's having, they're leaving him out to dry on nights, and I don't know. I never expected that from the off-season acquisitions that the Red Wings made with, and getting Corum and Kobelik's kind of cooled off a lot, and a few of the other guys. So I don't know. I'm just kind of stumbling along.
I understand. They have peed down their leg here for the last month and a half. You can't continuously, win 3, lose 4, win 4, lose 3, win 2, lose 6. You can't do that. By the way, I think I have Saturday's game at 7:00 against Columbus. I think I have to work.
What do you mean you have? Oh, you're going to be at LCA?
Yeah, I think I got to work that one. I got the call, and then I was like, hey, I see, because Michigan, I think we have a women's game at 2:00 in Ann Arbor on Saturday, and it was like, hey, could you be here? I think I saw Michigan's schedule. Like, yeah, I'll get there by about 5:30ish if that works for you. And then I haven't heard anything back, so I don't know. Might be a double header for me on Saturday, but yeah, I'm hoping that returning home. Winnipeg tonight, Toronto on Thursday, Columbus on Saturday. I would love to see a Dan Campbell motivate. I think that's a beautiful idea. I think that would get a lot of run on social media. I think people would eat that up. Dan Campbell busts into the locker room, does the starting lineup, but before gives it, come on, man. How Dan Campbell talks. Coach Campbell. Oh, yeah. A lot of man in there. They have reached a sum of all fears point for a Red Wings fan, to where, as you mentioned, the goaltending now with Husso, who he had a lot of confidence in early, getting that number 1 spot from Ned, team playing pretty well with him between the pipes. Now he's struggling to stop some shots. Defense is breaking down a little bit. Lack of scoring has constantly put this team back on its heels. They need to get some things turned around. That's a tough league to do it in, though, GB.
The special teams have fallen flat in this 5-week stretch since the beginning of December. Their special team has just cooled off. I mean,
Dan, what's our number?
Struggling. What's that?
I was asking Dan in the studio.
Got to be over 100 combined.
Got to be over 100 combined between your power play percentage and your penalty kill percentage. Right now, they're at about 95.
Yeah, that's borderline unacceptable. I mean, considering that, when they go 0 for 9 their last 2 games in the power play, and they've given up 3 goals in the same span. So, I mean, you just can't. The league is a special teams league per se. Now you have to, if you get 4 power plays, you better get 1 power play goal. And, sometimes they'll say, well, it's not how many you get, it's when you score on one of them. A game could be close, but, if you're struggling on the power play, it's like,
oh, you're dead.
You don't know what your teammates are doing,
dead in the water. GB, we got to hit the break because we got John Wagner coming up next. But I appreciate the call, and you're absolutely right. You got to capitalize. You got a man advantage. You got to capitalize. Step aside, talk a little college football and a little Lions with John Wagner next here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this: winning big at Soaring Eagle and having a winter blast with up to $25,000. Every Saturday in January from 7 to 10 p.m., you can win $1,500 in premium play. Then, at 11 p.m. each week, one lucky player takes home $25,000 cash. That's $160,000 all month long. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer
Bill
app.
Simonson here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach. Now, he's a managing partner at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids. They now have merged with Dorn Mayhew from the east side of the state, and they're stronger than ever before in the state of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast when it comes to your accounting and business needs. Find out more at beancarter.com. That's BEENEGARTR.com. Also, Tom has stepped up with $1,500 in cash in the Beat Huge Pro Football Picks contest. Now, if you beat my picks just 1 week, you'll be in the drawing at the end of the pro football season for $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and Bean Carter. Thursday night game is always a freebie. You have until Sunday morning to play every week through the big game. You can play once or play every week. Do what you want to, but get your picks in now at thehugeshow.net.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Joining us now, as he does on Tuesday mornings, a member of the National Football Foundation and Football Writers Association of America, our good buddy John Wagner. Find him on Twitter at John Wagner Sport. Johan, my friend, how are you? How's life? How are things? What's going on over there? I heard that you might have been partaking in a little Sunday night football in the land of 10,000 lakes. Now rocking the Honolulu blue and silver, representing Dan Campbell and the Motor City Kitties, little Motown muscle out there, John. Is that true?
Anthony, well, hang on a second. First of all, thank you for the kind words. Hope you and your listeners are doing well. May I make a confession before you? I will answer that question, but I need to make a confession.
Yes.
Can I make a confession?
Uh-huh.
I went to bed before last night's championship game ended. I did not see it from the very beginning to the bitter end. So my analysis will probably be incomplete, okay? I apologize. I was tired. I went to bed. So
incomplete. You don't need to watch the fourth quarter of that football game. At one point, Georgia had run 45 plays and scored 45 points. That is an absurd efficiency rating. That's like somebody scoring 20 points on the 8 made field goals. Like it's crazy. Like that sort of efficiency. Those are basketball numbers. 45 points in 45 plays. Are you insane? That game was a wash.
I was going to say, the question no longer is who is the best college football team in the country. I think we can all agree on that, can we not?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
So the question is, who's the second best team in the country?
Michigan.
Even though they just got swamped a week ago by the team that just got swamped last night?
No, Ohio State would be 2, TCU would be 3, Michigan would be 4, in my book.
Even though Ohio State got swamped by the team that got swamped by the team that got swamped.
Yeah, but John, you know it's all based on matchup, right? And I didn't think that Michigan in their game against TCU, I didn't think that they came out with a lick of fire that they did at Ohio Stadium earlier in the year for the Big Ten, for a berth of the Big Ten championship game. I mean, I thought you saw in the Big Ten title game itself a little bit of a letdown from the Michigan Wolverines, that they just, it's the emotional roller coaster of dealing with, wins and losses, especially at the collegiate level, where it's a lot different than the professional level, trying to get these kids to maintain that level of, each week is its own independent. It's just tough. It really is that. Georgia had their struggles throughout the year. They had some, games that were within 10 points. You never would have thought they were going to walk out there and score 45 points on 45 plays against a TCU team that put up 50 plus against Michigan. Like, no way. It's a game of matchups.
Well, yes, but no. It's one of those where a lot of it was style of play. A lot of it was just that the way Georgia was coached in this game. TCU had all kinds of issues getting lined up when Georgia went fast. Defensively, they struggled with it. And, that's not a matchup. That's just getting lined up and being ready to play properly. I hesitate to say that's coaching, because Sonny Dykes and his staff were the national coaches of the year this year. Let's be serious. They did a great job with a team that rose a long, long way. So I hate to say that they were poorly coached, but I'm happy to say they got out-coached last night by Georgia. They got out-coached. That's part of it too. Are you telling me that Michigan should have played in this game because they got stuck with a team in TCU that they don't match up well against? Please tell me no, Anthony. The correct answer here is no.
No,
okay?
They didn't play in that game because they threw 2 pick sixes. They didn't play in that game because their play calling went out the window. They didn't play in that game because they got dominated at the line of scrimmage. Like, they didn't play in that game because they frankly weren't ready to play against TCU.
They just didn't play well. That's what I would say. I mean, I'm sorry. I wish I could give you a deeper analysis than this, but that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
TCU did not play well on Monday night. Georgia played great. They weren't good. They were great. They did so many things well. I mean, the blown coverage by the one DB on the one TCU drive was the only complaint that I would say Georgia would have in its performance in the first 3 quarters of that game. I mean, fourth quarter, that was game over. Okay,
Yeah,
that was,
garbage
that was
time.
Cocktail time. Cocktail time, please. We sports are never garbage. It's cocktail.
It was a pretty garbage game last night. That's a bad look for the college football playoff. I'm sorry. That's a tremendous letdown for your national championship. Not only for people to parade around and act like, oh, the pageantry of college football, hardy har har. Let's take it to a place where they don't allow tailgating. Let's take it to a neutral site with no tailgating because that makes sense. That's the whole thing was a travesty.
Would you like me to talk about all the Super Bowls that were roused? That's a bad look for the NFL.
Well, it's never a good look when the game isn't entertaining.
Well, yeah, and it happens in every sport. I mean, come on. This happened to be a game where Georgia played great. TCU did not. Give the Bulldogs their credit. Let's move on. And speaking of moving on, go ahead and ask your question again.
I don't even know if I had a question. You
did. Your opening question, Anthony.
Oh,
give me a hint. Honolulu blue and silver. Come on.
Oh, yes. You were representing the Lions, rooting for them against the Green Bay Packers because, you living in Minnesota, the arch nemesis there, the rival is the Cheese State. What a glorious ending to the 2022 campaign for Dan Campbell and those lovable Lions.
Yeah, it was. They played great. And it's one of those where the difference between Monday's championship game and the Sunday night football game was that on Monday, only one team played great and the other did not. On Sunday, you had 2 teams that played pretty great. I mean, they both made mistakes, but sometimes it was tip your cap to a guy who made a play on the other side. And you give the Lions a lot of credit for playing when the game didn't matter. I mean, they weren't playing for anything but pride, and apparently they have a great deal of pride. So, and as I was telling you, Anthony, before we got started here, surrounded by, as I am, by Minnesota Vikings fans, most of them were rooting for the Lions simply because they were playing for the Packers. I mean, period, end of sentence. It could have been LaSalle School for the Deaf, Dumb, and Blind playing for the Packers. They'd have been for LaSalle. But midway or maybe 3/4 of the way through that game, I was getting Vikings fans who were fired up at how funky the Lions were, and stuff like the play where they had the hook and ladder late in the game for a first down. I mean, that kind of stuff that really got Vikings fans' attention. And when the one knucklehead for Green Bay pushed one of the Lions' safety personnel, one of their trainers, that got them all fired up. I mean, there were Vikings fans who, for at least for a night, were Lions fans, Vikings fans.
It really did feel like a majority of the country was rooting for the Lions. Just following along on Twitter. I think people like the story of Dan Campbell. Now we all know how these things play out, right? When we're just getting started and you're starting to turn the narrative a little bit. People want to hop on the bandwagon. They want to celebrate it. They want to have fun with you. It's a fun story, right? But the mob is fickle, right? Isn't that what Marcus Aurelius once said? The mob is fickle. Like, they'll turn on you in the blink of an eye. You lose a football game, all of a sudden everybody wants you fired again, and that's just, welcome to the world of the of fandom, right? And across all sports. But it did feel like the entire country was rooting for the Lions and against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I think that people have had enough of him.
That could very well be. And I would just warn you, Anthony, that you need to listen to the words you just spoke there. You're never as good as your highest high. you're never as bad as your lowest low. Yes, the Lions won and they're playing well late in the year, but they started the year 1-6 for God's sake. Just a couple weeks ago, with their playoff life very much in their own hands.
Don't say it.
They
Come
went
on.
and laid a ginormous egg against Carolina.
Egg.
Did they not?
Egg on the face.
That was awful.
You remember Will Kunkel, right? I've been having to listen to that jack wagon text me and call me. We had him on the air. He was on his TV show down there in Charlotte talking all that smack.
How his team did over the course of the year, man. 1 week does not make a season. Lions fans, I just said it's the same thing for week 17 in Green Bay. Tell that knucklehead it's the same thing for that 1 week. What was that team's season record again?
7-10.
Help me with that. What were they?
7-10.
Did they make the playoffs?
No.
Did they win the division?
No.
Then who cares? Who cares? WC, who cares?
Yeah,
my point is, you're just never as good as your high. You're never as bad as your low. And you've got to remember that you're judging an entire season. Yes, 9-7 is great. It's not playoff worthy, and that kind of record's not going to win a division unless it's a very mediocre division. And in the NFL, teams aspire to do more than finish a game above 500 and win their division. That is not – it's a part of a goal for a team, but it's not the ultimate goal by any stretch.
Correct. And I think most Lions fans understand that. It's just to be able to see –
Are you sure?
Yeah, to be able to see the improvement.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. They know. I know. We will field some calls of people mention the word Super Bowl, and I was like, let's win 6 games this year, right? So I mean, I'm very – I try to temper my expectations as much as possible and view things as as clear. And you play the schedule game in the beginning of the year, and who would have thought we would have had one of the more difficult schedules across the NFL? But you say something that's very interesting there. You're not as good as your best. You're not as bad as your worst. So I want to bring that back to the national championship game now that Georgia and Kirby Smart walk into some very it's a very, very small fraternity of those teams and those head coaches that can go back-to-back for national championships. So I would ask you this. How good is Georgia? Where do you place them now that they have won 2 national championships back-to-back?
Oh, my goodness. Are you talking like the all-time pantheon?
Yeah,
that would be a tough one. I mean, let me just say this. When these wins in back-to-back seasons for Georgia are what we would call program wins. And by that I mean they didn't happen to get 3 or 4 guys and ride them to multiple titles. They didn't have like I'll just pick out a Fab 5 that took them to back-to-back championship games. I don't even know where that came from. Just
Michigan. No, it makes sense. It's not like Jalen Hurts gets hurt and Tua Tagovailoa comes in and the Alabama rides him to a national championship, and then Jalen transfers and has some success. I guess that there's somewhat of a more recent sort of maybe I don't know comparison, because I get what you're saying. I mean, there's some depth here. I mean, Georgia graduated a majority of their defense to the National Football League last year and then came right back and played pretty good defense all year long. So I get what you're saying. This isn't, 1 or 2 guys that were able to just like a Tim Tebow, very, special, very unique sort of character that came in and changed the complexion of a program. These are guys that have been around. They did it last year. They sent a bunch of guys to the NFL, and guess what? They came right back and did it again.
Yeah, and they're going to send a bunch more guys to the NFL. But it's one of those where this is really a tribute to a lot of guys stepping in and playing. I mean, my goodness, this defense is really deep. I mean, they're chugging defensive linemen in their right and left and having success. Some of the big plays were being made by true freshmen. And think about that, true freshmen. In other words, their first year on campus with no national title experience from last year to draw upon. So it's very much a program win. And right now, it should be obvious that Georgia is the number 1 program in the country. They are number 1. I'm not even sure there's a number 2 right now. I just would say they are the obvious, easy alpha dog here. And now it's a matter of other programs have to go up and match them, whether it's Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, USC. I mean, pick who, TCU, whoever you want. You know, that other programs are going to have to come up and try and match them. So that's the alpha dog, and it's a matter now of can somebody go out and challenge the alpha dog.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Another win here for the SEC. I hate to say it, but proving once again they are the most dominant conference in college football.
Yeah, well, they've got the number 1 team, quite obviously. I mean, and the other thing that they run is depth. They go deeper with good teams than most other conferences, and we've beaten this into the dust. So I'll go fast. The Big Ten has 2 alpha dogs, maybe a third if you want to include Penn State, which I would, but that's 3 out of 12, and that's all they've got. Right now, if you're talking the SEC, yes, Georgia's head and shoulders above everybody else, but Alabama's good or very good. LSU's good or very good. Tennessee is good or very good. They have multiple teams that are right there. So that puts them a cut above everybody else. I mean, you're going to hate me and laugh at me for saying this, but the only league that has that many alpha dogs as the SEC is the Pac-12. I mean, Utah's really good. Until Oregon stumbled late in the year, they were very good. USC, 2 stumbles late, they were very good. I mean, they had the best quarterback in college football this year. They had a fair number of very good teams. Now they didn't have an alpha. They clearly, I thought USC was their alpha, and late goings on proved that they were not worthy of that. But you know, they had some good elite, certainly top 16 teams. So the one other thing that I want to say real quick, Anthony, because I know you got to go, is that the part that makes this the trickiest is the transfer portal. Teams can look very different from year to year, and if they are able to recruit successfully in the transfer portal, they can have success.
And as for those alphas you mentioned of SEC teams, I would ask our listeners, think about it like this. In comparison to the Pac-12 teams that are out there, how many SEC teams do you think would be the number 1 team in any other conference in the country? I think they got 3 or 4 pretty good shots at being the number 1 team in the Pac-12, the Big 12, the Big 10, the ACC, what have you. And it is it's going to be a long climb for everybody else. He's John Wagner. Find him on Twitter. John Wagner Sport. Johan, my friend, as always. Appreciate the time, partner.
No worries. I hope you and your listeners have a great week, and that we continue with one pride.
It's time to go on the court with Tim Stout.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, it's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com. Now that the Michigan game, at least in East Lansing, is behind the Michigan State Spartans, the basketball schedule ramps up. Tuesday night at Wisconsin, Friday night late at Illinois, before a Martin Luther King matinee next Monday in the Breslin Center against number 1 ranked Purdue. How will Michigan State fare? The Spartans aren't pleased with the quality of their play against Michigan. Nonetheless, it was a win to get to 3-1 in Big Ten play, and the Spartans improved to 11-5 overall. A.J. Hogarth has been the key player so far, most would assess, who's got Michigan State going with offensive thrust for most of the time when the Spartans need it. They needed it against Michigan to go ahead and win by a few points. What about now on the road?
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle and having a winter blast with up to $25,000. Every Saturday in January from 7 to 10 p.m., you can win $1,500 in premium play. Then, at 11 p.m. each week, one lucky player takes home $25,000 cash. That's $160,000 all month long. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
From planting a simple seed to managing a global food supply, growing, processing, and distributing food is the backbone of America. You deal with food safety and labor issues, cost control, and not to mention Mother Nature. But do you have time to explore research development and biotechnical tax credits? Properly administer payroll for temporary employees. Ensure that you're operating at your most profitable? That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is America's food supply, our business is helping you run your business better. We'll assist with tax credits, assess your processes and controls, and so much more. And while we may not be able to help you plant your crops, we can help you realize a rich financial harvest. From the family farm to worldwide distribution of all the things you grow, grow your business better. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online. BeanGarter.com. Bean Garter.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Kenny Walker. Touchdown. Smarty.
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up. Yes. Caught. Touchdown to Detroit Lions. They did it. Br0's St. Brown in the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Good Tuesday morning to you. It is hour number 3 here on the 10th day of January 2023. Great to be riding along with you, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Or call us on the Myers Supercenter guest line, 248-951-2176, 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros. And, of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN, now streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan is at Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. I'm Anthony Bellino at AAC Bellino. Dan, what do we got going on over there in the Myers Supercenter guest line?
Bill from Knoxville.
Bill from Knoxville. Oh, Bill. Oh, my friend. That loss cost a buddy of mine a lot of money. He bet early on in the season that the Titans would finish with a better record than the Detroit Lions. And wouldn't you have it, the Tennessee Titans absolutely fell apart. They have now fired 4 coaching staff members. Oh, boy, total shakeup there in the Music City.
I was glad. Anthony, I'm tickled pink to hear that Dowling got the X.
That he did.
What is here would be a wish list if I had wanted to have a wish list. Move Mike Vrabel up from head coach to general manager, and I would like to see them hire Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, wow.
That would be on my wish list. Will it happen? Will it happen, Anthony? I bet the house on it.
Yeah, I think Mike Vrabel wants to be on the sidelines. I think he likes that. And I think that there has been a lot of interest from Ohio State fans. I don't think Mike Vrabel, although he got his, coaching start at that level, I don't think that's something he wants to do. I think he loves the pro game. I think that he's a professional player. I think that he's a professional coach. I think guys respond really well to him. They just caught themselves in a terrible position where they just didn't have the quarterback. The GM put them in a terrible spot, and they've got some work to do because they're right there on the cusp. But still with Derrick Henry running, in basically still his prime, they are on the cusp. They've got some of the ingredients. They got to find themselves a quarterback, and they've got to figure out exactly how they want their offense to look moving forward. And I think that they, you don't want this window to close because the windows open and close very, very quickly in the NFL.
That would be another thing that would be on my wish list. If they're going to go after a quarterback, Hendon Hooker, University of Tennessee, keep him instead.
Keep the hometown kid there. That's interesting. I do have a question about that quarterback position with Josh Dobbs there, Tannehill on injured reserve, Malik Willis, who they just drafted. I found that was very interesting that they went with Josh Dobbs instead of the guy that they just drafted. I don't know. They gotta. I feel bad for you, Bill, because that was a team that started off and looked so very promising, and then lost 7 games in a row down the stretch. Like that's brutal.
Yeah, but if I'll tell you what, if they know what's good for them, Do not cut Josh Dobbs.
No, I'd keep him.
Keep him there. That's what I would do.
I would keep him there as well. I just don't think Tannehill's your guy.
No. But if they could draft Hendon Hooker, now there's a guy there that could there be a possibility he could take them to a Super Bowl? We'll see. We'll see. That's all I can tell you there, Anthony.
Well, Bill has his wish list, his Christmas shopping list part due, if you will, after the new year. Bill, thank you for the call this morning, my friend. Great to hear your voice.
It's good to talk to you, Anthony.
All right, be good, my friend. Let's get to Freddie, who is on hold on the Meijer Supercenter guest line, wants to talk about Michigan. Good morning, Freddie. How are you, my friend?
Just cracked me up this morning. The calls today just cracked me up. First, we get a call that Eisman hired a coach, but we need to bring in Dan Campbell to give him a speech. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that would be fun. You don't think that would be fun? You're not in the game of fun?
What, the coach that they hired can't motivate them?
They just had Manolo Teaches Golf just gave a speech to the Carolina Hurricanes. They do this all the time. They bring in like a celebrity to give you the starting lineup, give you a little pep talk, like it's fun.
Oh,
what's wrong with that?
And Bill, I watched that game on Saturday. The NFL screwed you because that was his arm was in motion. That was not a fumble. The same thing happened to Tom Brady versus the Raiders. They wanted Jacksonville in the playoffs. And that's just the bottom line. They screwed the Tennessee Titans. So, and Mike Vrabel, he's one of the best coaches in football. You can make him GM and head coach. I get that. But are we kidding me? I mean, the NFL screwed that. His arm was in motion. I mean, and they never made a stink about it. That was Tennessee got screwed.
Did the NFL screw them when they lost 19-14 to the 3-win Houston Texans?
Oh, so you can dog them for losing against a crap team, but you won't dog the Lions when your coach blew them for when they were 1-6.
Oh, I just talked about how they had egg on their face in Carolina. John Wagner and I just discussed that.
Well, Carolina was easy. They got blown out of the water, but the coaching decisions cost you a couple games. That was the big difference. I mean, so
coaching decisions won you a couple games too.
John Wagner said, just like John Wagner said, when you're 1-6, you had every right to be upset, blah blah blah, because we've seen this long ago. So now we're happy, but we're not allowed to be happy. But anyways, I called about Michigan football, so I was just curious. Would anybody be upset if Warden Manuel had any guts and fired Jim Harbaugh? Said, listen, this is 2-3 years in a row.
Why would you fire a guy who just won back-to-back Big Ten championships?
Well, let me ask you this. Well, Mark D'Antonio, I'm not a huge Michigan State fan, but Mark D'Antonio did great things in Michigan State. If he went every year looking for another job and interview with other jobs, what would be going on in this state? What would be going on?
I mean, Mark D'Antonio left them in the middle of the night and pinned them with their back against the wall and gave Mel Tucker zero opportunity once they hired him to get anything figured out in that first year. So I don't know if Mark would have had, if Coach D would have had a high level of NFL interest in him and he picks up the phone and has some conversations, I don't think it's any different than what we'd see in Ann Arbor right now. Michigan State fans would probably be upset because there's not a certain level of they want a certain level of definitive commitment, and he wants to explore some options. But that's all right. I think, and I also think Michigan State fans would also be understanding, like, hey, if you want to go to the NFL, by all means.
So you're telling me Michigan fans understand this? It's okay for him every year to go dance around and not to commit to Michigan, and no one says anything. The AD doesn't say anything about it. Well, he can't. I mean, this happened 40 years ago. Bill Frieda started dancing around, and the AD at the time said, "No, you're out of here. We don't want people dancing around. We want a Michigan guy." So hit the road, and they got rid of him. So what's different now? I don't get what's different now.
40 years. 40 years of evolution. I think things have changed. It's very hard to get to that level that Michigan's gotten to. It's not easy at all. And if you want to give them an ultimatum and tell them pick one or the other and walk, I don't know if you want to do that.
Why? Why not? Why not? I mean, don't you respect the university and say, listen, we've done everything for you, and we stood by you. Every year you're doing this to us. What's wrong with having somebody there that wants to be there? I don't see anything wrong with that. If Mel Tucker was doing that, could you imagine what would be going on in this state?
That would require NFL teams to have interest in Mel Tucker. But they don't. So we'll step aside. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay locked in, Freddie. We'll be right back here at X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
We played for the thrill, that rush you feel with the game on the line. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver. Now, with Eagle Casino and Sports, the new sportsbook app from Soaring Eagle, anywhere I'm at, I'm still in the game.
Sign up now and get up to $1,000. That's right, up to $1,000 for a risk-free bet on your next favorite underdog, parlay, or prop.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach. Now, he's a managing partner at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids. They now have merged with Dorn Mayhew from the east side of the state, and they're stronger than ever before in the state of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast when it comes to your accounting and business needs. Find out more at beancarter.com. That's BEENEGARTR.com. Also, Tom has stepped up with $1,500 in cash in the Beat Huge Pro Football Picks contest. Now, if you beat my picks just 1 week, you'll be in the drawing at the end of the pro football season for $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and Bean Carter. Thursday night game is always a freebie. You have until Sunday morning to play every week through the big game. You can play once or play every week. Do what you want to, but get your picks in now at thehugeshow.net.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Let's hit that Meyer Supercenter guest line. We talked to Joe in GR, probably listening on 96.1 The Game out there on the west side. Joe, what's going on, my friend? How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm good. Long-time listener, first time I've ever called. But the callers today are irritating me with their butt hurt about Harbaugh. I want to ask them, that last caller was really absurd, my guy, are you going to stay at your job if you were offered a better job and better pay and better benefits at another place to further advance your career development? Or would you be like, oh, no, my loyalty's with ABC Company? This notion that they think that Harbaugh owes us something, or that the UM job is a dream job. No, the goal is the NFL to win a Super Bowl. That's where he came from. That's where his heart is. If he goes, I don't fault him as a Michigan fan. He earned it. I think people kind of forget what even, the success he had in the NFL that brought him to Ann Arbor. But the absurdity of, oh, well, he's done this. He's put us in limbo. No, that happens in every profession. Happens in your profession. Happens in my profession. Happens in theirs. Theirs, it's just more in your face and more advertised.
You know what? And the way that I look at this, Joe, is I compare this a lot to like John Beilein, right? Because he had accomplished everything from JV head coach all the way to national championship games at Michigan. The guy wanted to go to the NBA and give it a run. That's where he finds himself right now. You know what he doesn't have to do? Hit the road and tell 17 and 16-year-olds how great they are. So if Jim Harbaugh wants to go back to the NFL, I have no problem with it. Does it kind of perturb me a little bit that, last week he was like, yeah, they released that whole graphic on, stay at Michigan and those who stay and okay, yada, yada, yada. That's great. Well, if we're going to do that, then just commit and get it all over with, right? Then we wouldn't necessarily have to listen to all of this. Is he going to flirt with the NFL? Is he not going to flirt with the NFL? Like, you know what I mean? Like at that point, like let's just get it over with and move on.
And it's one thing too. If this was 4 years ago, where he hadn't accomplished the Big Ten championships, beating Ohio State, like it'd be very annoying or feel empty if he left, because it's like you didn't do what you promised. And that's 2 straight years of beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship, going to the college football playoff. So now it's like, okay, now we can feel great about his tenure here, not feel like it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the guy did everything possible, right? And look here, Bill Frieder resigned as Michigan's basketball coach, and it was before the team's opening game in the tournament to become the head coach of Arizona State. Like that's so when you reference that, he had already taken a different job. So it's a little bit of a different situation here. Is Joe still on the horn, or did Joe hang up?
No, he hung up. He just wanted to make that point.
All right. I just wanted to give him a bing bong because he said, first time caller, long time listener. I love that. I think
Joe
that's great.
sounds like he might be is he from the east side of the state, you think? He sounded like maybe he's a transplant there in Grand Rapids.
Great city. Great beaches there, Lake Michigan. A lot of snow. In when it comes to Dan Campbell, like they brought in the Hurricanes. If you follow Manolo Teaches Golf, he's funny. I like Manolo Teaches Golf. I've been following him for a while on Instagram, and he's just a club champion who's a Latino who speaks broken English and has a good time doing it. It's no different than any time that in hockey, it's very, it's something that's common. They bring in celebrity pickers or celebrity announcers of their lineups. I have no problem with Derek Lalonde bringing in Dan Campbell, give him a little speech before the game. Like, what's the issue? Why are you trying to make a mountain out of a molehill? You were off the bandwagon when they were 1-6. Don't jump on. You already said fire everybody. You can't come back. Once you cross that line, you're on that. You're off. You're off. You're done. Wrong. You're out. That's it. You gave up on the family when times got tough. That's it. I mean, we got to take you out like Fredo out on the lake. Let's go on a little boat Let's go on a little boat ride here. Go on a little boat ride of Lions fandom. Row you out to the lake there. Go fishing. That's what happens. You jump off the wagon, you're off the wagon. It's not my fault. I didn't tell you to get off when they were 1-6. I didn't tell you to leave, jump ship, panic, the house is on fire, break glass, hit the red button. I didn't tell you any of that. I stood by my team. When times got tough, I stood by my club. And then they went 8-2 in the final 10. I'm sorry you got off the wagon. And now you got to double down on the wrongness. You got to lie to yourself. You got to double up on the lie. Cover your tracks. I get it. You're like a double agent for the Russians or something right now. All right, time now to get to our Week 18 NFL recap. We didn't get to it yesterday because there was so much Lions beating the Packers. But you probably didn't watch that because you gave up on the team. It all started on Saturday with the Kansas City Chiefs walking into Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Jared Stidham was the starting quarterback. 31-13 Chiefs. Jaguars beat the Titans in the night game 20-16. Some people are saying that the NFL wanted the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. You know who didn't want them in the playoffs? Urban Meyer. And the Lions, Sunday Night Football, 20-16 winners of the Green Bay Packers. Incredible finish for the Lions. Incredible play calling by Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach, Dan Campbell. I mean, the stones on that guy. I got to bring him in a wheelbarrow. Falcons beat the Buccaneers 30-17. Tampa Bay 8-9 on the year, 3-5 on the road. Woof. Bills beat the Patriots 35-23. Bill Belichick, mum on Matt Patricia, mum on Mac Jones. Won't say a word about either one. Vikings beat the Bears 29-13. Great to see Chicago continue to lose. Bengals topped the Ravens 27-16. Good game there for Cincinnati. The Texans upset the Colts. How about that? Davis Mills, final drive of the season, final drive of the game, I guess final drive of the season too, lead them down to take the lead, 32-31, a winner in Indy. Dolphins beat the Jets in an absolute stinker. How bad? Zach Wilson, this knucklehead, said that he is going to make whatever veteran quarterback comes in, he's going to make their life a living hell. How are you going to do that? By being there in the facility and talking? Are you kidding me, kid?
Dating his mom.
Like, yeah, get out of here, bro. Come on now. Take your bum self somewhere else. Like that's ridiculous. They benched you. Not once, but twice. It listed it as an inactive. You got scratched. And you're telling me you're going to make a veteran quarterback's life hell? Probably just by being around and looking at him. 11-6. That quarterback nobody's ever heard of. The Jets. People said they should have hired Robert Saleh. Ha!
Hurt my feelings.
Carolina Panthers 10-7 winners over the Saints. What a stinker of a game that was. Both those teams finish at 7-10 on the year. The Steelers, they get to 9-8, beating the Cleveland Browns 28-14. Deshaun Watson had 230 and 2 touchdowns. Broncos beat the Chargers in a shocker, 31-28. Mike Williams got hurt again. Who would have thought? Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns in that ball game. I guess he heard Sean Payton's available. Eagles beat the Giants 22-16. 49ers topped the Cardinals 38-13 of David Blau starting there in Arizona. He was 14 of 18 for 180 yards and a touchdown. Hey, good for Brock Purdy and company. How about the job Kyle Shanahan's done there in San Francisco? That's what happens when you build a team, though. You build a team. You build in the trenches. You give the young guys some, plug and play at quarterback. Give them an opportunity to be a winner. That's how you do that. Seattle Seahawks beat the Rams, broke our hearts. 19-16 in overtime. A doink off the bar for the Rams. You got to be kidding me. Brutal to watch. And how about the Commanders beating the Dallas Cowboys 26-6? Dallas, that is a bad loss on your way into the playoffs. We'll step aside when we return. We're going to talk about that NFL playoff bracket coming up. Hopefully nobody else jumps ship early on. You got to survive the hard times. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. You don't just fold like a tent in the wind because your team's 1-6. You battle back. That's what you do. You hold fast. Don't give up the ships. Back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Whether it's jackpots or colors of the rainbow, 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7, no luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
We played for the thrill, that rush you feel with the game on the line. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver. Now, with Eagle Casino and Sports, the new sportsbook app from Soaring Eagle, anywhere I'm at, I'm still in the game.
Sign up now and get up to $1,000. That's right, up to $1,000 for a risk-free bet on your next favorite underdog, parlay, or prop.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
When you're in construction, you know that every minute matters and every dollar counts. You've got materials to purchase, employees to pay, and deadlines to meet. What you don't have is time to worry about your accounting, taxes, or ways to grow your business. That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is construction, our business is helping you run your business better. From tax planning, payroll processing, or R&D credit studies, we're here for you with concrete advice and answers. Let us help you build a solid foundation for your business. Whether you're a subcontractor, developer, architect, or engineer, of all the things you build, make your business the strongest. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Sports Network, great to have you right along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening. USDA. Scott is on hold on the Meijer Supercenter guest line. We'll get to him in just a moment. Want to remind you, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code HUGE. That's promo code HUGE. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win. Get $150 in free bets when they do. That's only using the promo code HUGE at DraftKings Sportsbook. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117, 21 plus, Michigan only. Eligibility and deposit restrictions do apply. A bonus issued as free bets. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/basketball terms. All right, Scott, what's on your mind, my friend? How are you this morning, partner?
Well, I told the boys, I said, you gave me a homework assignment. I almost missed. I almost didn't turn it in.
I knew you'd be good on it.
Well, first off, I just wanted to make a comment. 1-6 start. Yeah, 1-6 start. Four of those 6 losses were by less than a touchdown. And all 4 of them came to either division winners or playoff teams. Okay? The other 2, Cowboys, playoff team, and Patriots, which I don't care if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo, you have some stinkers during the year. And our 2 stinkers, obviously, were the Pats and the Panthers. And even to say that, those 2 teams were what? Each of them were 1 game out of the playoffs themselves. I mean, they weren't.
It turned out we had like the hardest schedule in the league.
I know. So, yeah, we were disappointed with a 1-6 start. Should they have beat Seattle with a couple different play calls? Probably. Should they have beat Miami with a couple different play calls? Probably. Minnesota? Probably. But what's the if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas? You can't play that game, so I don't want to hear about all that. You know what? A great team wins maybe 70%. Great teams, good teams win 70% of the toss-up games. We won 40% of our toss-up games this year, but we took the step in beating everybody. Truthfully, everybody that we were supposed to beat.
Except for Carolina. That's the only one. That game's going to drive me nuts.
Is the only game we were favored in. Carolina was the only game we were favored in that we didn't complete the task. So I don't want to hear. 1-6 start. Fire the coach. Yada yada. Here's 2 things I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to hear same old Lions, and I don't want to hear hope. It's not hope anymore. It's expectation. It's strength. It's proof. It's. I mean, we can see it. We can see it. You can touch it. You can. It's not a. There's no fallacy here.
I can't feel my face. I mean, I can touch it, but I can't feel it.
Right. So moving on from that, because that keeps irritating me. We shoulda, woulda, coulda, all that stuff. Our team did outstanding this year. Moving on, top 10 quarterbacks. Top 3 are easy.
5. All I need is 5. I don't need 10. I need 5. Give me your top 5.
Well, the 2 guys I want to talk about don't make the top 5. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Who you got?
The top number 1 through 3 is easy. Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow.
Okay.
That I don't know. I probably if you don't have those in your top 3, you probably don't know football.
Those are my top 3.
Number 4 is and I watched the kid enough. We don't see him enough, but he's on Bellino's Bolts. Number 4 is probably Herbert, and a close 5 is probably Hurts. And then a close 6 and 7 is Goff and Lawrence.
Okay. All right. So our top 5 of Mahomes, this is no particular order. Mahomes, Allen.
That's in order. Mahomes,
Allen, Burrow. Herbert, and Hurts. Dan and Ryan, that's USDA Scott's top 5. Is there anybody that you would place in that top 5 or remove from that top 5 right now?
Say 4 and 5 again.
Justin Herbert with the Chargers and Jalen Hurts with the Eagles.
I don't believe so.
And the reason I brought this question up, and we were talking about this in our jumbo group chat, because everybody was arguing about everything, of course. Maybe Trevor Lawrence on the outside looking in now that he has a real head coach, right? That'll be fun to see how that whole thing kind of develops. Where would you put Lamar Jackson in that mix? Right?
I think Lamar falls around 8 or 9. I mean, he'd be top 5. He'd be probably number 5, but I just think he wanted out of Baltimore. Tell me this. If he's on the Raiders next year, are the Raiders not a playoff team?
Oh man, I mean I think so. The way Josh Jacobs runs the football, my goodness.
Yeah. If he's on the Colts with their running back, are they not a playoff team?
Really good. I mean, they got some really nice pieces on defense there. They're gonna have to figure out that head coaching position as well.
I mean, if I'm those teams that have some draft capital like the Colts and like some of them, I'm really knocking on Baltimore's door.
So here's my question, and the reason I brought this up for the exercise, right? Because we were talking about Jared Goff and what the Lions are going to do with the money invested in him. Do you take a quarterback in the first round? Well, it depends on who's on the board and then how you would go from there. I think that if
there is no way we let him play out this contract, I think we need a more solid backup, and you might look in the late rounds to take a flyer on somebody like the Patriots did with that Zappy kid last year. But
if Stetson Bennett was around and if he's there in round 3, sitting there for the Lions, would you pick him up? Or is that too early to maybe look at the backup position?
He's not franchise, but you need somebody solid. And sometimes those guys turn out, a la Brock Purdy. And once you've built a system, like you were just talking about, strong up front on both sides, strong coaching and instruction, plug him in.
Yeah,
so,
the game of football is always going to start at the line of scrimmage. It always is. And you can add as many highfalutin, as I like to call, icing on the cake, like you look for the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and the Tyreek Hills, and sure, that might work out if you draft a Jalen Waddle.
Has Bill Belichick not done that for 24 years?
And they've been pretty good when they had their franchise quarterback in place, right? And they were that's the golden standard of professional football.
I put Jared as a solid. He's solid.
Oh, I think we lost you. We got a little connection issue. But
I think that let's just say this: if we're, and I'm not predicting anything.
Uh-oh.
We're 9-3. Something like that, towards the latter half of the season. I think they do instead of waiting for the end of the year and having to do a stupid 5-year or 8-year or 6-year contract. I think they're smart enough, and I think Brad Holmes is smart enough that he'll do a 3 or 4 year contract extension with Goff, and then let's just move on.
Yeah, as long as he's playing where he played this year, which is, I do have the question, and the Jameson Williams play that was called back, like that's something that we're going to see hopefully for years to come, which will be great. And the reason that I brought up this top 5 quarterback thing was simply because, you name your top 5. We did that exercise pretty easily. And then we got a little shaky at looking at numbers, 6 through 10. There's 32 teams in the league right now. 32. Like, it is not easy to find a guy that can provide to you what Jared Goff provided to you this year, which is taking care of the football, right? Putting your team in position to win. Did he make some terrible throws? The one against the Bills. Yes, I highlight that. What we didn't see this year is what we saw last year, were some of the fumble issues that we had, some of those throws that you just can't make. There was no trust going down the field. It looked last year was a very, very different Jared Goff than this year where I felt like the team
there's
believed in
another
him.
thing to say about that, too, is because, and I know you guys, especially you, are not fans of Cousins, but in Washington and in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins is a solid 12. I mean, that's weird. He's 12-13 every year. He's a little better than the back of the pack, but he don't get into the top of the pack. But he's solid enough that wherever he goes, they win. And I think Goff is better than him. And now he has the weapons. So, I do not think that we waste any draft capital on a quarterback.
I'm fine with that, too. There he is. There's USDA Scott. Appreciate the call this morning, my friend. Thank you for doing your research and your homework assignment as well. I like that. And it's hard to find that position. It is. But it doesn't matter. It honestly does not matter if you're not strong up front. How many times have we seen young quarterbacks get drafted that are put into situations where they're not built for success? And then what happens? Their career just spirals out of control. They get bounced from team to team. It's just hard to play. It's a hard position to play. And I think that what Jared Goff did this year was pretty incredible. All right, our first look at the playoff.
By the way,
bracket.
Anthony, real quick, we got a tweet. You didn't see it because he just tagged us. Our boy Clint.
What up, Clint?
He's in the hospital this morning. He said, "Good morning, gentlemen. Never missed the show." And he sends us a selfie of himself in the hospital bed. So get well soon, Clint.
Clint, what the hell are you doing in the hospital? Where's that at? Are you gonna retweet that?
I retweeted and said, "Get well soon."
Okay. All right. That's all right. I'm good with that. It's positive. I'm going to look for that right now because I feel like, Clint is hanging out in the hospital, listening to us. The doctors are probably like, wow, these guys are geniuses. We went to school for how many years? Unbelievable. Oh, yeah, Clint, I see him. Never missed the show.
Doctors went to college as long as Stetson Bennett.
Dude is like 45. Clint, man, we love you. Feel better, my friend. Feel better. In the AFC side of things, the bottom of the bracket, you get the 2 seed Buffalo Bills taking on the 7 seed Miami Dolphins. The big question in this game is, will Tua be able to go? Right? Availability is an ability, no matter what. Whether it's your knee, your ankle, your head, your shoulder, if you can't be out there on the field, it's going to greatly hamper your team's ability and production. Right? Then you get the 3-6 matchup, which is the Bengals and the Ravens, part 3 for these two teams. Lamar Jackson, what is his status? John Harbaugh, Jim's brother, non-committal on Lamar Jackson's practice return. I just don't know how the Ravens seem to botch this where, Lamar Jackson is a good enough quarterback that you can build around him. He's got incredible escapability. He keeps his eyes down the field. Although he has the ability to run, he's not someone who I would say is a run-first quarterback, right? And, he's someone that had to learn, hey, I got to stay in the pocket, let those guys that are in front of me that are paid to protect me, let them protect me, keep my eyes down the field, and sling it. And then you have the Jaguars and the Bolts. I honestly feel in Duval, like, congratulations to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the fans that have been around there and holding on. Even since the inception, the late 90s, they've had some really good teams. The Fred Taylor years, the Mark Brunell years. And maybe we haven't given enough credit to Mark Brunell, quarterback coach there in Detroit. But look, this is a very winnable game for Jacksonville because the Bolts seemingly just can't get over that hump. Right? Kansas City is your 1 seed. Over on the NFC side of things, your 2-7 matchup, the San Francisco 49ers will bring in the Seattle Seahawks, another divisional matchup there. Brock Purdy, right, continue to write the story. And then you have Geno Smith trying to do the unthinkable from a team that was dead in the water preseason after they traded away their former franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson, found a way to win and get it done. The Minnesota Vikings are the 3 seed taking on the 6-seeded New York Football Giants. Let's go Minnesota. I can't believe I just said that out loud, but New York, Scott, I can't allow you to have any fun. And then the 4-5 matchup, Tampa Bay against Dallas. Dallas looked awful against the Commandos. Can Tom Brady pull off the upset of all upsets here as a team that has just struggled all year long? Get into the big dance, roll it out there, and see what happens. Your 1 seed is the Philadelphia Eagles. Dan, did you say we had some more activity over there on the phone line?
Yes, we do. We have Matt from Muskegon on the line.
Oh, Matt from Muskegon. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you, partner?
Yeah, how you guys doing today?
Everything is good, man. Life is good.
Well, I'm gonna go against the grain here with the Lions just a little bit. I was, as most fans, were very pleased with how they finished the season. However, we at the end of the day did not get into the playoffs because we left our playoff hopes in another team's hands.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it's not the same old Lions per se, but it kind of is because you had a winnable game on the road in good conditions. It was a little chilly in Carolina that day. No reason for them to lose that game, and they come out flat and just kind of embarrassing, and then they come back and they excite you for the offseason. However, they are not in the playoffs, and here we are talking about next year. So like every Lions offseason, there's a little excitement, maybe more than past 10, 15 years, but at the end of the day, we're not playing for anything. We're at home watching. So you guys have a good day.
There's Matt Muskegon. Matt, you're right. That's why I continuously go back to Carolina. You were a favorite. You had it all, and you allowed two guys to run for 120 yards against you.
Matt's right, but like I said this morning, I was listening on the way in to all the teams getting rattled off and all the guys that they're interviewing. We're not one of them. We have seemingly a head coach and front office that are working in sync to make a good football team.
And the only thing that I would say to Matt here is that our maybe your expectation was a little bit different after the 3-13-1 Lions in 2021. But to even have a sniff at the playoffs, to me, was remarkable. Because in my opinion, based on what we saw from last year, a 9-win football team? Are you kidding me? Like, that was insane. So the fact that we can even complain about the fact that they're not playing for anything this weekend, I think that's incredible. CK, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, how you doing?
Life is good, man. How are you?
Good. Sort of been jumping around the Lions. I think the most important part of the Lions, I haven't heard you talk about it, is Ben Johnson. I mean, they need to back up the truck, get all the money out, give him whatever he wants, because you could talk about the players, you could talk about Jared Goff, you could talk about Campbell. There's no doubt that guy is phenomenal. What he did the last couple of drives against Green Bay was amazing. And to lose him in our offense, it would drastically change things, I'm sure. So
that's the big question for this offseason, CK, is how do they survive, if they can, some of the losses they may face. Hey, folks, a reminder, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE. Place a $5 pregame moneyline wager on any association team to win. Get $150 in free bets when they do. That's promo code HUGE only at DraftKings. Now, if you or somebody knows a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. 21 plus. Michigan only. Eligibility and deposit restrictions to apply. Bonus issued is free bets. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/basketball terms. For Dan and Ryan, I'm Anthony. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Hey, Michigan, let's go big. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking real big-time winning on the hottest slots and table games on one incredible app, Eagle Casino and Sports.
Sign up now and get up to $1,500. That's right. We'll match your first 2 deposits for up to $1,500, plus 100 free spins.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Huge here for all the Mr. Car Wash locations across Michigan. You're going to want to look into that unlimited monthly pass that I use. Superfly Hayes, my producer, uses it. I can get my SUV washed as often as I like for one low price. You can sign up today. Just go to MrCarWash.com or stop by your local Mr. Car Wash location here in Michigan for the one close to you. And to get that unlimited pass, go to MrCarWash.com.
Whether it's Jackpots are colors of the rainbow. 7's a special number. At Meijer, it's no different. Get more for your money with 7 for $7. No luck required. Mix or match specially marked items. Buy 7 or more and get each for only $1. From Meijer Instant Oatmeal and Meijer Pasta Sauce to Meijer Facial Tissue, there's so many ways to 7 for $7. Plus, California Sweet Seedless Mandarins just $2.99 for a 3-pound bag. And shop the same low Meijer prices in-store and online. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach. Now, he's a managing partner at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids. They now have merged with Dorn Mayhew from the east side of the state, and they're stronger than ever before in the state of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast when it comes to your accounting and business needs. Find out more at beancarter.com. That's BEENEGARTR.com. Also, Thomas stepped up with $1,500 in cash in the Beat Huge Pro Football Picks contest. Now, if you beat my picks just 1 week, you'll be in the drawing at the end of the pro football season for $1,500 in cash from Tom Rosenbach and Bean Carter. Thursday night game is always a freebie. You have until Sunday morning to play every week through the big game. You can play once or play every week. Do what you want to.